Today we're speedrunning Scribblenauts Unlimited, a game I used to love playing on my Wii U as a kid. Now our speedrun begins as soon as we hit start, and right away we skip through the first cutscene, which basically explains that we're a kid named Maxwell who has the power to create anything with his notebook, and we also have our sister Lily who's slowly getting turned into stone. So we have to help Lily by collecting these things called star rights, which we can get by helping different people. The first person we're going to help is this farmer. He's trying to win a competition for who is the best pigs, so the first thing we can do is grab a mop and clean him off. We can also add adjectives, like for this one we're going to add big, and yeah, overall our notebook is just overpowered, so the final thing we want to do is get big wings and put that in our backpack so we can use it later. After that, there are going to be all these judges that show up, and they see the other pigs. These ones are honestly awful compared to our pig, but we want to make sure we win so we can finally put that wing on the pig and we're good to go. To beat this game, we have to get a total of 60 star rights, so that means helping 60 people, or we can get these things called star right shards, which you'll see in a second. For those, if you collect 10 of them, they combine into a normal star right, so that's also a thing we're going to be getting throughout the game. At this point, there's only a tiny bit of the tutorial left. It's trying to teach us about star right vision, which we're not going to use at all because we already know where everything we need is. And for this one, we get our first star right shard by growing up that plant using a stormy cloud by typing in drop, and then we can also reset the level because it did cause everybody to go away, which isn't the best thing. Next, we have to get this cat out of the tree, and we're going to use a camel because it will give us an extra star right shard. They're basically secret star right shards you can get through doing specific actions. This one is spitting with a camel, so we can use the camel spit to get the cat out of the tree. That gives us 2 for the price of 1, and then we're going to go back and type in the adjective dead for Maxwell before using the map and going over to the city. Then by hitting reset level, since Maxwell died, we skip the opening cutscene you would normally have to watch and save some time. After that, we're going to go right away and do some missions. We're going to type in gal fun lol. Basically, you can solve multiple problems at the same time in a lot of these cases by using a couple adjectives. So we got 3 star right shards right there, along with using a cleaner to clean up the city and also become a superhero. And then we're also going to type in lit TNT, that's one of those secret star right shards, before giving Maxwell the adjective of subsonic so we can move a lot faster, where we'll make our way over to the carnival game star right. And for this one, it's very interesting because we're using everybody's favorite solution of spawning a gun. Yeah, pretty much for all this stuff, you can just use a gun. All we have to do is double click. First, we'll hit all those bottles. It was the easiest thing possible. We can also hit this clown's balloons before he even tells us what we have to do. And finally, there's going to be a dunk tank. We'll wait till someone gets in it, shoot it. The person got very mad at us. I probably would be too, because that is very dangerous. But hey, it does give us the star right, so I'm not going to complain about it. And that's going to be star right number 2. Now, all we have to do left in the city is spawn a sandbox, because that's going to give us another one of those secret achievements, before yet again we're killing Maxwell by typing in the adjective dead and going over to the gallery. Yeah, we're going to be killing Maxwell a lot in this game every time we're spawning to a new place, just because it is a small time save, but it's worth it. And for 5 of these smaller missions, we can use the warlike sun, which gets all these paintings done. It's kind of hilarious. And then we're going to help a penguin steal a diamond so we can use some smoke. Before, for the final 2 paintings, we're going to use a sticky dock, because the sticky dock will help someone find out which artifact is counterfeit. And for the dinosaur one, we can use them to connect the bones together. Unlucky for him, but that's what he gets for being sticky. And then we're heading into finicky patrons. Each one of these people is going to tell us that they think that something is missing from this painting. But all we have to do for all 4 of these is spawn in Gold Scary Santa. And Gold Scary Santa is just overpowered. There's not much I can say about it. So we get on the second one. That's going to be the third. That ghost is very happy. And finally, for the 4th, it's going to be Mrs. Claus. So of course she's going to like Santa. And it was that easy. All you need to do in life is spawn Gold Scary Santa. We'll see level completed before finally it tells us to go check in on Lily so we can get some new levels, because we only have some of the map unlocked. And every time we get a few of these star rights, it's going to unlock more and allow us to do different levels. Meanwhile, she is just chilling there being very sad because she is slowly becoming more and more stone. Yeah, she really got the bad end of the deal, I'm not going to lie. But I guess Maxwell isn't doing too much better because we are killing him repeatedly. But hey, it's to spawn faster. You got to do what you got to do. Now it's Firehouse time. First, we got to give a dot to this dog because he wants to become the Firehouse dog, and apparently that helps him with that. We're going to give an AED to a person who's training and trying to restart this dummy's heart, Ra to this guy who keeps starting fires, and some earbuds to someone above because their roommate keeps snoring. Then above them, there's going to be someone who has to tenderize some meat, so we can give him a silver hammer, that way he can do that. And there's someone who needs to know when quitting time is, so we'll give them a PC, letting them check the time. And after that, it's time to start Fire Station Wagon. For this mission, we have an old station wagon and need to turn it into a fire truck. So first, we'll give a pen to this artist, that way she can change the color. Then we have a DJ who needs to add in some horns. And what we're gonna do is spawn in a cloned loud axe. By making it cloned, we're gonna make 2 of them so the next person can use the axe for their mission as well. And we're also gonna give ourselves a bomb. So you can see this fireman needs a tool to get the job done. We're gonna give him that axe. That's gonna finish out the fire truck. And then we're gonna use this bomb, interact with it so it explodes. And since it's during a cutscene, Maxwell isn't gonna die. So we get rid of all the traffic that's around the area and spawn in our starlight nice and easy. Then it's time to death warp again, this time over to the underline. Right at the beginning, we're gonna make Maxwell subsonic to make him faster. And we're also gonna spawn in a coin because this lady wants to buy a flower. We can head over to the left where we see this grandma. She needs someplace to sit, so we'll give her a bed. Then we can spawn in a cleaner so he can clean up this mess. And we can also bring him over to this person, which makes that person rich because they're able to mentor under him. Before then, starting Street Rock. Here we have this guy who wants to become a rock star, and we're gonna give him a bardish amp. First of all, it's gonna be the instrument he needs. And since it's bardish, I guess that means it has multiple people. I'm not exactly sure what the adjective means, but it's going to allow him to have a group and give him pretty much everything he needs, all with a single thing. So we gave him an instrument, additional members, and equipment, so now he's a rock star. Then after that, we'll also give Maxwell a cap. That's another starlight shard before heading over to the hospital. For this level, very first thing we want to do for Maxwell is make him scribble-phobic and subsonic. Yes, scribble-phobic is a thing. Apparently you're just scared of everything that's Scribblenauts related. And then we're going to give this lady a gun so she can heal her patient before letting Maxwell sit in a chariot. After that, we'll spawn in some fun lol because there's this clown over here who needs to laugh again, and since she's fun, that's good enough for him. And then this doctor will take the cop's gun, be able to fix his patient, and we can use some radon to get rid of that attacking heart. After that, there's a doctor who forgot to bring a body part in a cooler, so we'll put an eye in there, and we'll see this stork over here, which we can give him a tot. That way he can deliver the baby, and then head over to our next main mission, Doctors on Call. For this one, we have to help all the patients that are coming to the hospital, and we can spawn in everybody right away. We're gonna spawn in a dentist, a doc, a writer, a nerd, and a dad, which is going to be able to fix all our patients before them putting them on the ground. We accidentally put some of them in the ambulance, but before I can deal with that, we're then going to use a windy block. This is going to make it so that the ambulance can't leave, and it's just going to save us some time. It's also really funny because the doctor is really trying to go get more patients, but since he can't go, we can just get everybody fixed up way faster. While we're watching this, by the way, huge shout out to Stripes After Death, the world record holder for this game, who I got all of these strategies from. Their channel, of course, will be in the description. And also, if you're enjoying the video, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. But finally, after waiting here for a while, that's our starlight. Now we're going to be heading back to Lily yet again, where this time we're going to see this little kid with a kite, but then the kite starts blowing him away, and yeah, unlucky. So Maxwell is going off to save him. Meanwhile, Lily, like usual, is just turning into stone. But now next up, it's time for Hyphen Heights. To start this level, we're going to make Maxwell subsonic again, and then we're going to spawn in a basketball to this person because they want to be a better basketball player, and then give a beak to this grandma because she wants to befriend the birds, which is a very funny solution. After that, we'll use a mower on this person's lawn, then head up there where we're going to use Rob because basically this person wants to see someone with his 3D glasses, and Rob's going to be perfect for that. We'll give this lady a ring because she wants something romantic, and we'll give this pizza delivery guy a hoverboard so he can deliver pizzas faster. Before then starting out with the old. This lady wants to improve their neighborhood, so first of all, we're going to spawn a lit ad. Now since it's lit, it's going to be able to destroy the building, which was very easy, so she gets happy, and then she wants to replace the building with something new that all the people will enjoy. So of course we're going to spawn in a barn, and then some people are going to start spawning in, but she has to advertise this new place, and thankfully that's where the lit ad part comes in because it is an ad. It spawns in some wacky inflatable tube guys, and everybody is very happy going to check out the new barn, which meant we did exactly what we needed to do, and we get the star right. Now last thing we have to do here is get on some outfits for Maxwell. So first of all, we're going to put a bib on him, and then head over here to this hot dog, which we can eat, give him a hot dog outfit, which is hilarious, before dying yet again, this time going over to Inkwell High. For the school, first their flagpole needs a flag, so we're going to put a bib up there, and then we're going to spawn in a small clown because this gives us multiple things. First, someone wants to become the class clown, that helps them with that. The lady wants to meet someone in their career, and then finally, since they're a small clown, we can put the clown in a cage, making them the class pet. Anyways, we're on to lessons in mad science, where we're going to spawn everything right at the beginning. First, we're going to spawn an E, then a G, which is going to be some clothes, nose, a torso, a sun, and finally some OJ. First, we're going to give it the OJ, which causes this thing to grow up a bit bigger. Then we can give it some sun. So now this thing is a monster, but it needs to be more human-like, so we're going to give it a torso before giving it the gi. That way it integrates into society. And finally, our creation needs a name, so we're going to give it the beautiful name of E before grabbing our starlight. I'm so proud of our little guy. Now it's time to check in on Lily again, where this time a hunter is going to show up, tell us that he's hunting for some animals. We see this dinosaur thing, and yeah, he's gonna go after it since he wants to eat, and I guess we're helping him. Bye, Lily. Enjoy your stone body. Meanwhile, we'll enjoy heading over to the castle. There's only two things we need to do here, and first off, we'll give ourselves the adjectives subsonic and flying, and then we'll spawn a chariot. That way we can give it to this knight, and he can completely destroy these orcs. They're not my problem. I'll see you guys later, because I'm gonna fly all my way over to this egg, which is gonna be the orphan dragon. For this mission, we need to raise a dragon, and first of all, we're going to give him some magic powers. All we have to do is type in magic, and now we see that we want her to be a poison dragon. So for this, I'm just going to spawn in some poison juice, because I mean, that seems to work. She's going to grow a bit bigger, but now she needs to take out something that can oppose her, so we're going to spawn in a dock, put them in this cage. Our dragon's going to come over, just completely destroy them, and yeah, I'm very proud of her. They grow up so fast. Now it's the grotto time, and this one's also pretty fast. First of all, of course, we're going to give Maxwell subsonic, and then we're going to see Medusa here. She needs someone to love, so we're going to spawn in a scary cod for her, which is very funny. Just make sure she sees it before them putting the cod in the ocean so the fishermen can go for them. After that, we're going to spawn in a gun. That way this lady can bring it to grandma and give a coin to this lady so she can put it in the wishing well before finally using some radon. That way we change the color of that house for the old lady and we're good to go, starting moving west. In this mission, a pilgrim wants to move west, but first needs a profession. So we're going to give them an axe, which I spelled wrong, but we don't have to talk about that, and they're going to be good to go. Now it's time to head out, but then their animal dies, which is kind of unlucky. So I'm going to spawn them a new animal. We give them a cod, which I think is the perfect thing to bring you along. Then they're going to be running low on food, so we're going to spawn in a private for them. That way the private can teach them how to hunt, and you can see they're now pretty good at it, taking out different beasts and getting a lot of food. So next up, we can head over to the left, where finally all they need is a home. We can spawn in a boot camp because that seems like the perfect home to me. Before finally he spawns in our starlight. We did a great job. Now all that's left here is giving Maxwell some PJs so we can get another secret achievement, and after that it's time to head over to the diner. In this one, there is a lot of different things we're going to want to do, but first of all, of course, we're going to make Maxwell subsonic. Then we're going to spawn in a cloned game. We can give one game to this boyfriend since he's bored, he hates his girlfriend, and give the other game to this lady for her birthday. Then we're going to spawn in some cloned ooze, which are some birds, and they can take care of all the insects, getting rid of the health hazards, before now spawning in a smoke detector because you can see that this oven is on fire. Next up, we're also going to spawn in an alarm, and finally we're going to spawn in some drops. That way we get rid of the entire fire hazard. Then we give the boyfriend a ring so he can apologize to his girlfriend because she is currently crying. We'll spawn in a witch so she can join the monsters club and make a cloned ham for these dogs. We'll give one of the hams to the dogs so they can eat and the other one to advertise what the diner has. After all that, it's time for dinner service. For this one, we have 4 different customers and we have to give each one of them something that they'll like. But thankfully for us, everybody in this game likes pie, so we're just going to spawn 4 of them right away. And the first guy is a growing boy. We can give him the pie. That way he's nice and happy. Second, we're going to get this vampire. Of course, vampires love pie and he no longer needs to eat any blood. Third is a robot. Of course, the robot is also going to like pie and they become a cyborg, so that's pretty cool. And finally, we have a cannibal. Yes, there are actual cannibals in this game, but when we give them a pie, they become a vegan. So yeah, that's a thing in this game. Now our next mission is going to be the chef's apprentice, where we actually have to make food. So we'll get some people that want specific things. The first person is going to want some pizza. We can use ham as a topping, followed by making some cloned eggs, which I guess goes in pizza. That's going to make the crust. Then there's also going to be cloned hot sauce, which I guess is going to be the sauce. And finally, we need the secret ingredient for this pizza, which our secret ingredient is going to be more pizza. And I accidentally put that in too soon. Hopefully this is fine. I also cannot spell. Okay, so cloned pizza, we'll put in 1 more of those and it does work. And who doesn't love some pizza? Also, look at the egg on the pizza. That guy did not care. He was like, I love it. Next person wants us to bake them a phoenix. And for this one, we're going to start out with an orb. Second, we can use an egg. I tried to use the cloned egg, but it didn't pop back out. So not the biggest deal in the world. And then we'll put in some hot sauce. That way it can have that fiery component. And here comes the phoenix right out of our cauldron. And then the phoenix is going to go on fire and die, I guess. Sorry. Anyways, that's perfect for them. And then our last person wants a motorcycle. I don't know why you came to a diner, but anyways, we're going to start out with a PC. Then we need to do the internal electronics, so we'll use some AI. And finally, we need them to have a base frame, so we're going to use this pizza. And that, for some reason, is going to make a motorcycle. But then the chef decides that he doesn't actually want to give it to this person, and he steals the motorcycle. I guess it isn't really stealing because he was the one who made it. Or more so, I made it. That should be my motorcycle. But we do get the star right. And that's all we have to do in the diner, so let's head back to the farm, where we see our sister is really not doing the best right now. And then we see a pirate ship come up. I don't even know how we were on land, dude. And then somebody attacks them, so you already know that we're gonna have to go help this pirate. Meanwhile, Lily, like usual, is just very sad. But before we help the pirate, we gotta head over to Dinosaur Park. This is another big level, so we're gonna start out by using a subsonic before making our way to Allosaurus on the loose. In this mission, there's a dinosaur that's escaped and we have to help capture it. So first of all, we're gonna spawn a cop, but then they have to find the dinosaur even though it's right there. I don't know how they don't see it. So we're gonna give them a warlike badge, which also gives us lawman, and then they're gonna go find the guy. And then when we do find them, we're gonna spawn 2 hams, one that we leave out of the box and one that we put in it, before the cops then go and try to bring the dino over, but it doesn't actually stop at the cage. So this guy's gonna go and try to get the dino. They're gonna show it the ham, and finally at this point the dino's gonna be pretty tired, so we can give this guy a dart gun. He's gonna go shoot the dino right in the face, then pick it up, carry it like that. That looks very painful. I don't think that's how you're supposed to do it, but we finally get the Allosaurus back in its cage, and that'll give us our star right, which now we're up to 20. Now it's time for more smaller missions, and first we're gonna spawn an ant and put it by these shrubs. That way some raptors can eat it. Then we'll see some school students, and we need to give them a dinosaur that won't eat them, so we'll give them a min-me. After that, this dino in the water needs to learn to shoot hoops, so we'll give it a ball. And they're trying to clone a dino using this amber, but needs something in the amber that sucks blood, so we'll put a leech. Finally, there's a sheep that's trying to pretend to be a dinosaur, so we give it a tail. A hunter over here, so we put a vegan to stop him, and a dinosaur that has its dinner stuck in its throat, so we'll spawn in a vet before starting the $5 billion dino. For this mission, a scientist is trying to fix this T-Rex, so we're going to give him a couple things to do so. First, we put a tail on the scientist, and I don't know why he's wearing that, but I guess he just likes it. And while he's fixing the dino with the tail, we can then spawn some motors. That way we give this dino a source of power. Of course, we'll make that clone because we'll need a second one later. And our third thing is going to be a jaw. That way we can fix its mouth. So the scientist does everything it needs. It now becomes a robo dino, and all we have to do is put our other motor in it, which the scientist loves this dinosaur, but the dinosaur isn't too pleased with the scientist. So unlucky for him, but that's another star right for me. So now it's time for the grave manor. Right away at the beginning, there's going to be a coffin that can revive things, so we're going to put a skeleton in there, and then we're also going to spawn in a ball for these kids because they want to play with it. Next up, there's going to be this guy who is very scared of this place, so we're going to give him some holy water, that way he can stay safe. Then we'll put in a DJ so they can start a party, and then there's going to be another DJ that we want to put in this armor before we see these kids with a bunch of spiders by them, so we're going to give them some radon because I'm sure that's great for kids. That's going to deal with their whole spider problem. And finally, we can put a ghost in this attic before we head up to the top of this roof. And what we're going to want to do is actually click on ourselves and add some adjectives. First, we're going to give ourselves supersonic, and second, we want to give ourselves giant. That way we can touch this mission through the wall. For this mission, we have to rid the house of all the ghosts in it, and first of all, we have to see the ghosts, so we're going to put a radio, and for some reason that helps with seeing them. I'm not exactly sure why. Then we have a child who says they'll leave if we give them some stuff to play with. So first of all, we're going to do a clone doll, and then we're also going to bring over a toy, so she's going to be happy and she can get out of the house. Next up is somebody who wants to have a wedding, so the first thing we're going to do is send over a clone DJ. Yeah, these clone things are just so nice. And secondly, we can also bring over a tux, which is perfect for the wedding. And before we even see the third person, we're going to spawn in a cloned holy pew. And that's because this third person wants 3 relics from the church, so that's going to be 2 of them. And we're going to head down through the stairs and also sit on one of these holy pews. That way we get another achievement before putting in God, so he really likes that. And our last person is going to be a knight, so so we have to give them 3 people. First of all, we're going to put in a dragon, then also a king, and finally last thing is going to be an axe, which is everything he needs. The starlight is going to spawn right on us, and we did that pretty perfectly. But before we leave the manor, we're also going to spawn in some clone liars, because then it's going to give us the achievement Liar Liar Pants on Fire before, of course, we're killing Max, and this time we're heading to the meta forest. Now here right away there's going to be somebody who doesn't like bugs, so we're going to give them bug spray, and we can also give them a tent. That way they have someplace safe to stay. After that, there's a lot of different things we have to do. There's going to be the chef. We're going to give him a pig so they can find truffles. There's going to be a person who wants to take a picture of Sasquatch, so we can give them a pen. There's going to be a bee who can pollinate this tree. There's a kid that wants to fly, so we give them a wing. There's going to be some wolves that want to take care of a baby. We'll give them a tot. And there will be 2 people who want to build a tree house, so we'll give them a nail. After all of that, then, it's time to do the merit badge. For this mission, we have a Boy Scout, and we have to help him with multiple things. First of all, we're going to give him an axe, that way he can deal with this log, and before he even moves and tries to chop that down, we can send out a wet pill. This is nice because it can put the fire out for the dummy, and then it can also heal him, so it does 2 in 1. Finally, it's time for target shooting. So first of all, we're going to give him an armet. That way he has eye safety, and then we can give him a gun. Now he is very bad at using this gun, but also not my problem. We get the star right. Now we're on to Anaphora Falls. In this one, we want to start out by giving Maxwell subsonic, giant, and flying, and then we're going to spawn a sun for this guy who's trying to get a tan before we see this frog that wants to cross the water, so we're going to give it 1 more log, that way it can jump. Next up, we got to get a pen, and we're going to go up to this elephant, give that to it so it can be an amazing artist, and we're going to give a musical camera to this person over here. That allows them to dance and get a picture with the locals. So after all that, it's time for primate pals. For this mission, we have 4 monkeys that each want a friend that shares their hobby. So we're going to put in a clone nerdy magic tempo, which is going to be perfect for all of them. First of all, we're going to have one that wants a musical friend, and tempo is going to work with that. Next up, we're going to have a magic monkey, so they want a friend that's also magic, and that's going to be perfect. Third, we're going to get a monkey that loves video games, so that's where the nerdy is going to come in. And we can also take this broom, which is going to give us which way. And finally, there's going to be a monkey that's wearing a rooster hat, which of course our guy also has, so that's going to be perfect for us. Then we can get off the broom, go onto the stage. Meanwhile, the monkey is going to go through this portal. Not really sure what he's doing, but not our problem, because finally we're going to get the star right. Now in this area, there's going to be 2 more tiny missions and 1 more big one. First, we have piranhas that are actually vegetarians, so we're going to give them moose. And then secondly, there's going to be this person whose wife died, so we can give them a doctor. That way he can fix her, and we'll go on to teaching a businessman to fish. In this one, this man dreams of being a fisherman, so first we can give him a hat, and secondly, we're going to spawn an allure. That's going to be perfect for the first part of that, but then he's going to see that the bass is not going after his lure, so we can just cheat. We're going to give this bass a different lure, and that works for some reason, so that's fish number 1. Now there's going to be a bigger fish, and this time we're going to spawn a treat down in the water, and like last time, it works perfectly. That's number 2. And finally, there's going to be this huge fish, which I have no idea why he's even going after this, but all we have to do is repeat the treat 1 more time. Our guy catches it, and that's going to be 3 fish. It's that easy to be a fisherman, I guess. So star right number 28 for us. And that means it's time to head back to the farm and see our sister. Yeah, she is still not doing the best, but don't worry, eventually you'll be safe. Just not yet, because now I have this guy who wants me to go to a huge mountain, and also Santa getting chased by Jack Frost. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in this game. It must be sad not getting to go on these adventures. Not my problem though, because next up for us is the Lost Kingdom of Parentheses. This level is entirely underwater, so of course some subsonic speed will be very helpful for that. And first we see this alien over here who wants to get home. Aliens can't swim, so we're gonna give them a UFO. They actually get stuck up there, so maybe they'll be okay, not my problem. And we can show Cthulhu a loud halo, that way we wake him up before giving that halo to the sailor, that way they can convince Poseidon that they had a good life. And after doing those 3, it's time for Sea Goat's Gruff, which here 3 goats are trying to make it past a sea troll who wants to eat them. So we have to give the troll something that tastes like the goats, and to get all of them done, it's just going to be a spicy, salty fig. That lets the first goat go, and for the second one, we can just repeat. That's going to be number 2. Don't ask me what's happening to this troll, why it keeps changing color, not really sure. But finally, we're gonna get 1 last goat. This time it's like a mermaid goat, which is very interesting. So we feed it the very last fig, and then the troll just kind of dies. Literally explodes, so unlucky for that, but lucky for me because that's our star right. Now right before we leave this area, might as well spawn a blue barn if I can actually find some place to put it. Okay, there's gonna be our blue barn, which is not so boring of a barn. and we're dying, of course, before making our way over to paper planes, which here you already know we're starting out with subsonic and flying, and then right away we're going to spawn a mute lion for this person because they want to race on an animal, and after that we're going to put in a ringmaster, that way we get another one of those secret achievements. Third, we're going to make some fire because there's going to be this corn here, but this lady wants some popcorn instead, and we'll tip this cow. Get it? Because we're giving them money. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. And finally, there will be somebody on the tightrope that we're going to give a twig, and I'm sure they're safe. So we're now going to Scribblenauts University. In this mission, we need to help a student get accepted to a good university. So what we're going to do is just spawn a bunch of wet librarians. So I'm going to keep repeating that until we have 5 of these guys. And we're going to put down our first wet librarian, which is going to give her some education. Secondly, though, she needs to get some clean clothes, which is where the wet part of the wet librarians come in, because for some reason, having a wet librarian spawns in a dry cleaner, so I'm not going to worry about that. Third, there's going to be the need to gain work experience, and the librarian can help with that. And for the final one, we need somebody to help her study for finals, which of course a wet librarian can help with. So yeah, that was perfect. So next up, let's head over to the Listy Colon. In this level is going to be a pirate ship, so we're going to give ourselves subsonic and flying, pretty common things that we always want. And then we're going to give OJ to this person because otherwise they're going to have scurvy. Next up, we can create an eye patch for this bird. I mean, he just looks amazing. Then we can go bring a card over to those people which are trying to play some games. We give this person a mop, that way they can clean up the floor. There's going to be a ninja that needs to escape so they can hide in that box. There's going to be a pirate against a ninja. We can give the pirate a gun, that way they can beat them. And we can give this leg over to this pirate captain before going up over to where can I find some sailors. In this mission, a slacker inherited an empty pirate ship, so we need some people who will actually run the ship. First of all, we can put a banker inside the treasure room, we can put a chef over by the food, we can put a police officer down by the armory, we can put another police officer over in the prison room, we can put a nerd up at the top so he can deal with navigation, and we can put a mate on the wheel, that way they can be the captain of the ship. That gets us everybody done at the same time. Also, I'm not exactly sure what's happening to the right, why somebody is crying behind that cop, but we're not going to talk about it because we're right on to our next mission, the Cursed Crew. In this mission, the entire crew is cursed, and we need to break their curses by giving each person something they used to love. So the first person will get a bow for a weapon. This next person over in the treasure room, we're going to give a mirror because they just love looking at themselves. The third person is a writer, so we can give them a pen. The fourth person, which is the captain, they miss their birds, so we're going to give them an ooh. And for the final person, we're actually going to wait a second before giving them a beard because they love their facial hair. And from here, everybody is just going to get exactly what they want. It's going to go over to the vanity person next, then it goes to the writer, they're going to get exactly what they need, and finally the captain is going to be happy with their bird, so everyone's good to go, and they can finally die. And next up, we're heading over to the swamp. Here, you already know we're starting out by making ourselves subsonic. Before we see some aliens, we're going to give them a king because that's what they want. Then there's going to be a frog that wants to kiss a king, so we'll put the king right there, they do whatever they need to do. Third, we're going to bring over some meat onto this grill, and then we can also put this meat over towards that crocodile so it can eat that as well. Finally, we're going to be moving over towards this lady where we need to scare some aliens. In this mission, there's a bunch of aliens and we need to make what they're scared of, so we're going to make a glowing wet jetpack. The glowing part is perfect for the first alien because they're scared of light, then the second alien is scared of loud noises, the third one is scared of water before he then jumps inside the water, and then the fourth alien is scared of heights, which the jetpack works for. So yeah, it's just a really good thing to use, and we kind of just chill in this water for a little bit until we get our star right. Now it's A, B, and C front time, which for this one, like usual, we're going to start out by making ourselves subsonic, and we're also going to give ourselves a balloon, that way we can jump higher and stay in the air longer. After that, we're going to put a hat over by this snowman so we can make him. We're going to bring some ice over to this iceberg, which somehow stops it from melting. I don't know how the sun is so close. And we're going to give this guy a sharp pencil so he can make an ice sculpture, which apparently works for some reason. But now it's time for Santa's flight. Here, Santa is running late, so we have to give him everything he needs. But before that, we're going to spawn some radon, coal, a mega sun, and then a dog, cat, and a toy. Now the dog, cat, and toy are going to be perfect for putting in Santa's sleigh because that's going to be what some kids want. Then we're going to put the mega sun over there before also placing some coal in the sleigh. After that, there's going to be a huge storm, which is exactly why we wanted this mega sun here. So as soon as this snow shows up, it just goes away. But it is dark outside, so we do need to make sure that Rudolph has a red nose, so we use the radon on him, and then both Rudolph and Santa get poisoned. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, and I hope you have a good day, man. Yeah, not many other people who can say that they poisoned Santa. And after a successful poisoning, we're heading back to our sister. This time our cutscene has somebody who wants money, but then there's another person who's like, hey, I want that money, so they completely steal it, and we gotta go help, leaving our sister to really be in not the best shape. But for our next journey, we're heading to Underscore Mines. Like usual, this is a subsonic stage, and we'll also make a gas mask for this bird, that way he can actually go through the mines. Now you'll see us come around here back over towards the left, but we'll also drop off a sun by this mammoth and caveman, and we'll also put another sun by these bats. That way we can expose which one is a vampire, and we'll also put Icarus there for another achievement, and I guess he's going and attacking the vampire, while we do the mission Caught in the Web. For this mission, there's a spider that's made of ice, so we're gonna make a wet flamethrower and put it right by the spider. It just completely destroys the thing eventually with that fire, and then we're gonna move it. And that's because now everything's on fire, so we have to make it back to water, and that's why we chose a wet flamethrower, because then it deals with all that stuff, even though there is a lot more fire. Just don't worry about it. Now the spider is going to be made of stone, so we're going to bring out a nail gun which can attack it, and that's all I had to do. So that's going to open up the door, and now we just have to defeat the spider. So we're going to bring out another nail gun, give that straight to ourselves, and attack the spider, which is a one-shot, before then putting some fire down in front of us. And that's because there's a bunch of baby spiders that are going to come out, so the fire can kill those. We save the woman, and we'll get our star right. Next mission, we're going to head downwards over towards this bunker, and there's going to be Maxwell the superhero. This is a pretty easy mission, because first we're going to get an armet to conceal our face, then we have to get a frog suit, which I actually did that a little too soon, but we have to get a good superhero costume, which also gives us hopping costume, which is nice, and finally we'll put some radon on ourselves, which gives us superpowers, and yeah, it's that easy to be a superhero. Final thing to do here now before we leave is put on some snowshoes, which gives us another achievement, and then we're going to be heading over to Pilcrow Peaks. The first thing we want to do for this level is make some eggnog, and we're going to put it on this doghouse, because basically we're making the doghouse more festive, and then we can use that same eggnog to put in that person's hot chocolate to make it taste better. Next up, we're going to get a wing. We're going to see this angel over here. That way we can give their wings back. We can bring over some tea. There's going to be a lady over there. And we can also get a car for this guy so we can leave Pilcrow Peaks and go do what he needs to do. Next, we're going to get this windy sun. That way we can move that snowball, which is exactly what we need. We'll get some fire. That way nobody can slip on that ice. And we'll get some radon to get rid of that bear trap so it's no longer dangerous. Before, now it's time for searching for Santa. In this mission, Santa is gone and we have to find him. So first, we're going to give an ID to Mrs. Claus. That way she can help the police. Then we come up here, we see Santa's sleigh, and we got to get a duster so the police can find fingerprints on the sleigh. You'll see them go through and there's a gigantic thumbprint, so that's pretty strange. And then there's going to be Jack Frost, who they're trying to interrogate, and what works better with interrogation than an axe? So we literally threaten the guy, which is interesting. And finally, we got the dog, which he has to smell something that smells like Santa. So we give him Santa, and I mean, Santa smells like Santa. Finally, he's going to find this pile where he sees a dead body, which is kind of crazy. But then the real Santa actually shows up, and now there are kind of just two Santas. I don't even know what's going on. But Mrs. Claus comes back. She's like, oh, I love you. But then she decides she doesn't actually love Santa, and now she's with Jack Frost, I guess. So I am not going to worry about this love triangle. Then after all that, it's time to head to Dusty Brush Canyon. First thing to do is make some lit arrows for these hunters. That way they can hunt this flying buffalo, because I mean, he's kind of overpowered. Then we're going to make a glove for this person. That way she can actually play with her pet scorpion. There's going to be a vulture up here, which we're going to give a dead rat to, and we're going to repeat that, get another dead rat. That way we can get some snakes out of that cave and the dog can eat those. We'll get a vet to deal with this horse, and we'll get a wing for this guy whose ship crashed, so he's able to make it over where he needs to go. Now we'll just continue walking our way over here till we see the mission wanted. For this one, we have to catch all the different thieves, and the first one really likes gold, so we'll give him that. He tries to get away, but then the police officer comes and puts him in a cage. So that's bandit number one. For the second one, we'll use a potty, then he gets kicked down here. The cop also goes and grabs him, and that's our second bandit. And the final bandit is up there, which we're going to use a hat, because this bandit for some reason just loves hats. The sun's gonna come down, explode something, and this is a really weird chain reaction. But finally, the police officer is gonna take one more. I love how she carries them. She just does not care at all, but that's gonna be our star right. Now next up, we're heading back to the farm. Our sister's still not doing the greatest. And there's this guy in some scuba gear who sees someone taking away an orca, which what the heck, man, that should not be legal. So he goes, runs away on a dolphin. Meanwhile, I get a tortoise. I mean, we'll take it, I guess. Very slowly. Our sister is probably like, please hurry up, I'm literally dying. But with this, we'll unlock Volcano. First thing we're gonna do is get some fire out and put it on the stand to start a fire. Then we're gonna see a sword that needs to get tempered, and for some reason a ring works for that, so I'm not gonna complain. We're gonna give this guy a ring, that way he can throw it in the volcano. We'll give this giant a stick, that way they can play with their dog. And then we'll head over to the left, where we're gonna give this person ice so they can turn their ray gun into a freeze ray, and we'll give this last person some water so they can fend off dehydration before we start monster attack. In this mission, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse try to attack 2 people, so we gotta save them. First, we're gonna use some clone doctors, that way they can deal with the disease since the first person was pestilence. Then next up, it's gonna be the person for war, so they're gonna start attacking each other, and we can switch clone doc to clone dove. The doves are gonna signal peace, so they're good to go. For the third horseman, it's going to be famine. There's nothing to eat, but thankfully, since we had clone doves, that means there's still one of these guys left, so we just give them that. And our very last horseman is going to be death, but thankfully for us, we saved one of these docs from earlier, so we can just bring them, and apparently doctors can now fix death. So that's pretty cool. We take out the last guy and get our star right, which leads us on to the Tomb of Onomatopoeia. Here we'll start out by being subsonic and flying. We'll head upwards towards the pyramid, and we're going to start out with a sandy TV since someone stole these mummies' furniture and they need it back in the same condition it was, so it needs to be sandy. Next, there's a person who needs to predict the future, and we can give them an orb. There's a trap that's too dangerous, so we add some goo to make it sticky. There's a researcher that wants to decipher the hieroglyphics, so we give him a dictionary. We need to remove the frog curse, so we send out a fly. A slug plus a shell equals a snail, so we bring that out. And there's an alien that wants to get home, so we give him a PC to contact his mothership before we accidentally open that. But now it's time for the making of a mummy. For this one, we first need to put someone of high stature in this grave, and a DJ works, so I'm good with that. Then we need to wrap them in gauze, and finally we can use some cola to help preserve the mummy. After that, they use their entire machine, things go well, and we have a mummy with really cool sunglasses. So easy enough way to get a star right. And next up, it's time for Camel Case Oasis. We'll start this one by being subsonic and flying, and then we'll see a penguin that's missing home, so we'll give him some ice. We'll see a barrel that needs to be filled, so it's like a barrel of monkeys, so we'll put in an ape since it takes less time to spell it. There are these coals that are too hot, so we put some drops on them, that way they can do the fire walk. The end of this rainbow needs a pot of gold for obvious reasons, and a snake charmer needs a flute to make the snakes less angry before we go on to Maxwell the Great. In this mission, we're acting as a genie and need to give a few different people 3 different things. The first one wants to be a merchant, so first we're going to give him salt, then we can give him corn, and finally some spice, which makes him happy. Second person is a vampire, so we're going to give them a moon. Secondly, we'll give them a fang, and for our third thing, we'll give them an entire castle. So they're pretty happy about that one. And our third person is going to be a clown, and they want to be more funny, so first of all, we'll give them a bell. Second comes a harp, and our third thing for this person is going to be a ball, so they're also good to go, and that's the entire mission. Pretty easy stuff. And next up is Dot the Island. Very first person on this level, we need to give fins so they can go diving. Then you're going to see someone who's by a siren and is scared of them, so we're going to give him earbuds so he doesn't have to hear her, but the siren also wants to make friends, so we'll give her a mic. Then we're going to type in a ninja that we can place up here, so once we give this person a peg leg and they become a pirate, those two can get some conflict resolution, and we'll also give this person a beard, that way they become a Viking, and that's good to go. After that, we're going to make ourselves subsonic and flying so we can go up here, and we're going to place some drops in this area so that person with the flying machine will leave. That gives us another starlight shard as we start this mission. Now for a dark and floody night, we need to keep the lighthouse safe throughout the storm, and first need a sandy safe to keep our valuables. That's going to start the first little area before this helicopter then goes away, and I guess it's actually going to take our safe. Okay, that's kind of unlucky, but not the biggest deal. Next up, we need to get some reception, so we're going to build a tower, and the tower's supposed to go up to this lady, but I guess the game kind of glitched out, so she's going to build on this, and she's also just leaving. Okay, she fell off. She might be dead, but we're not going to worry about it. Good enough for me. And then the water comes up, And here's where a sandy safe would have come in useful, because somehow the sand gets rid of the water, which is all we need to do. So we put that down and goodbye water. Not exactly sure why that happens, but I'm also not going to complain. So then the sun comes out, all these clouds are going to go away. Another ship comes forward and gives us this starite. Now at this point, we're missing a few starite shards that we must have not gotten earlier. So we can place some drops over at this thing, and we can also take an armed boat over towards this person, which makes both of them happy. You see the oil rig emergency, and okay, now we're 50 out of 50, which means we can go back to Lily. Like usual, we're giving her what we got. She's happy about it for a second. And this time, there's going to be an astronaut that comes down and is like, hey, you should come with me. I make a jetpack, follow after him, and Lily is now completely encased in rock. So not great for her, but we only need 10 more starites. But before we do those, we're gonna come and edit our character, and we're actually going to make Maxwell bigger. About that size is perfect. We can just name him Maxwell W, and we'll go over to our guy, and you can see, now we got Big Max. And the first place we wanna go over to with him is the jail. Now Max is too big to even enter the jail right now, so we are gonna have to make him tiny, but then we're gonna solve pretty much everybody's problems. So first of all, we're gonna make a heli backpack so this rogue can meet up with the princess. You can see him over by the top of the roof, so we'll make sure to give him that. Then Santa wants better food since the prison food isn't good, so we'll give him ham. We'll make a clone spade, one for this fairy, that way she can steal a fang from the werewolf, and one for this gnome because they want something from a yard. After that, we'll also make a pen for this bunny, but I was having trouble actually finding the pen, but basically they want to paint that egg. And then we're gonna make a red penguin for this person with the monocle since they're evil and they want an evil sidekick. Then we're gonna put you in because the boss needs someone who would watch televisions all day, so you works for that. And there's gonna be a dark knight over here who wants someone who will put him on a righteous path, so a nun can do that, and a crusader who needs a bush to help them escape from prison. There's also going to be this sniper who needs a toilet since the watchtower doesn't have a bathroom, and then we'll put one of these extra spades inside this cake so the chef can help their friend escape. And after all that, it's time for the cellmates mission. For this mission, we have to find a cellmate for each person that they'll have something in common with. So we make a beefy, bold, bardish, wise flux, which is going to get literally everybody. The first person wants somebody who's interested in sports. The next one is a halfling who wants a member of their adventuring party. Third, we have a saxophone player that wants a musician, and since our person is a bard, we're good to go. Fourth, we have an actress who wants another actor to practice lines with. Fifth, we have a scientist who wants a smart person to practice science with. And sixth, we have a cosplayer who wants someone from nerd culture. So after all of that stuff, we are good to go. We should probably also make ourselves subsonic since we are running through this jail a lot. But anyways, the next one we have to do is prison break. For this mission, Maxwell needs to escape the prison, and we need to give people different things. The first one is a guard who's tired, so we'll give him a bed. Secondly, there's a ghost guard who wants to possess a body, so what we're gonna do is make a megapug for him, so now he becomes a megapug and he's pretty happy about it. Third is gonna be a prisoner that needs a hearty meal to help us escape, so we give him some ham. Fourth is gonna be a con man who needs something to help him disguise himself, so we give him a gun. And fifth is gonna be a lonely person who wants a dog, and thankfully the megapug is already there, so he's able to have that one. That's all we need to do, and that'll be our starite. Then our last mission in the prison is gonna be the gauntlet, and this is also why we made Maxwell bigger, because now you'll see when we get to the mission we become big again, and all we have to do is spam jump through that, and we completely skip so much of the gauntlet. It's actually hilarious. Then after we get through, we can make ourselves subsonic, flying, and microbial, make our way through this stuff, make sure we don't die to that wind, and get down here where there's going to be a starite, and it was that easy. And next up, it's time for the alliteration abyss. This is another swimming level, so of course we want to be subsonic, and then we can place a tooth right here which will spawn a dentist so the dentist can fix that shark's tooth. Then there's going to be a diver, and this diver wants something you would find in an aquarium, so we'll give him a filter. There's a dolphin family that's missing someone, so we'll give them a girl dolphin. There's some oil that's leaking, so we can spawn in a box over here to make sure that stops leaking. And after that, over to the right, there's going to be a hippo that doesn't feel like he's a fish enough, so we're going to give him a fin. That way he can act more like a fish. And finally, there's an orca who basically wants to be the police, so we'll give him a gun. Crazy to think this is our second to last level, but now it's time to do Undersea tour. In this one, we have a person that wants to make a submarine tour of the ocean, so we have to make it interesting. First, we want the scene of a shipwreck, so we're going to add in some gems and coins to make it look like that. Then next up, the captain asks us for some dangerous wildlife, so we can add in some cloned orcas, and that was easy enough. You can see people are starting to come. And third, he wants something for an underwater battle scene, so we add in some TNT, and then these things show up, and the people who are here are just like dying. I don't know what's happening, if I'm going to be completely honest. But finally, he asked for the ruins of an ancient lost city, so what we're going to do first is add in a bone straight over there, and then we can also make some cloned ruins, which is exactly what we need, so we're good to go. Everything spawns in. At this point, all we have to do is grab our starlight, which the ruins are actually in the way of, which was kind of hilarious. And now we'll head straight over to the food chain. For this mission, we need to create an underwater food chain for a scientist, and of course, the first thing we need is the sun to be the energy source for life. And that brings down this poor whale, which I feel bad about, but I guess that is life. So secondly, we need something to be at the bottom of the food chain, which is going to be algae. Third, we want a vegetarian animal to be in the middle, and we'll be using a crab. And fourth, we need a predator at the top of the food chain, which of course we can use the orca, and we're good to go. Now it's time for our very last level, which is this rocket ship one. First thing, you already know we're giving Maxwell subsonic speed, and then we have to help this astronaut escape from the ship. So since we've already made ourselves bigger, all we have to do is pick up this line, which is very funny. And while the guy is moving, we're also going to make some windy vanity. That way it can reflect these laser gates. We'll also make sure that this astronaut has subsonic speed because it's worth it. And then we'll go and create an adjective for ourselves, which is mega. That way we can go through the ceiling and ride this dog, since we need it to get out of the way. And what we can do is jump, then dismount, we go through the ceiling again, and the astronaut has a straight shot right back to his ship, where we're going to leave a tool here because he's going to need to use it to actually fix his ship. So he'll start running over. We're kind of just chilling here for a while. He sees that his ship is broken, but then he can fix it right away because he has such fast speeds, and that's going to be our win. Now we have a couple starlight shards to get. First of all, we're going to spawn a corpse by this brain. That way the brain can inhibit it. Then we're going to create something from a farm. So we're going to put a live duck decoy by this pig. Then there's going to be a person who craves a bite to eat from Earth, so we'll give them a moo. And next up, there are going to be these aliens who want to look human, so we're going to give them a stereo followed by a CD. That way they can play some music and they'll be all good. We just kind of have to type this nice and easy. There's also going to be this alien who wants to see Earth, so we're just going to place Earth right there before then giving Maxwell a black belt. That's going to give us another thing. We can check how much we have. We still are one short, so we'll spawn a yacht. That way Maxwell can go in that. You're on a boat. We see we now have 59 out of 60, so we're good to do our very last mission, front line of defense. For this mission, we have to help this guy defeat all the monsters by making a good robot. Our first thing we're going to do is get a cloned wing. That way he can use that on the robot. We'll also spawn a min-me, which we can use later, and put a lung right there because we already know we're going to need it. But then we're not even going to use the robot to actually defend, because instead we can just put a black hole here and the robot doesn't even have to fight the monsters, which is kind of hilarious. So he's going to use the lung. We'll also make sure to put our min-me right there. And there's now like multiple robots. I have no idea what's really happening. To be fair, we are not doing this mission as intended at all, but I mean, it is working. We can move the black hole there, making sure it won't take our starlight. And there we go. That's our very last one. Now, as soon as we see go to Lily, we can call time, and that's going to be 1:07:05. Of course, we finally save Lily, and that's going to give us last place on the speedrun leaderboards. Yeah, everyone who's done this speedrun is way better at typing than me, but I'm still proud of the speedrun, so subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye.